You know, here at the shop we see a lot of things come through the door. Some are old, some are weird, and some are just plain junk. But every now and then, someone brings in a coin. It might look like just a small piece of metal, something you'd find in your grandpa's old jar. But sometimes that little piece of metal is a portal to the past. It's a piece of history you can hold in your hand. That's what makes rare coins so special. They tell a story about people, places, and times long gone. It's not just about the money. It's about the journey that coin has been on for hundreds or even thousands of years. Think about it. A single coin could have been in the pocket of a Roman soldier, a medieval king, or a Wild West outlaw. It could have been used to buy bread during a famine, pay for a soldier's passage home from war, or even been part of a pirate's buried treasure. Each scratch, each bit of wear, is a chapter in its long and fascinating story. When you hold a rare coin, you're connecting with every person who ever held it before you. It's a tangible link to our shared human experience, and that's something you can't put a price on. Well, actually, you can, and sometimes that price is millions of dollars. The fascination with these small metal discs is universal. It's a treasure hunt that anyone can join. You might be a seasoned collector with a high-tech vault, or you could be a kid who just found an old-looking penny in your change. The thrill is the same. It's the thrill of discovery, the idea that you might have found something incredibly rare and valuable. It's the ultimate scavenger hunt, with history as the prize. People love the idea that a fortune could be hiding in plain sight, just waiting for the right person with the right knowledge to spot it. That's the magic of this business. So, what makes a coin ultra rare? It's a combination of things. Maybe only a few were ever minted. Maybe a bunch were made, but they were melted down or lost to time. Sometimes, it's a mistake, an error in the minting process that creates a unique and valuable variety. Whatever the reason, these coins are the superstars of the collecting world. They are the Mona Lisas of numismatics, the study of coins. In this essay, we're going to take a trip through time, uncover the stories behind the world's rarest coins, and see why people will risk it all to own a piece of history. Before money, if you wanted something, you had to trade for it. This is called bartering. Imagine you're a farmer with a bunch of chickens, but you need a new pair of shoes. You'd have to find a shoemaker who just so happened to need some chickens. It was complicated and not very efficient. If the shoemaker didn't want chickens, you were out of luck and stuck with sore feet. People needed a better way, a universal medium of exchange that everyone would accept. It had to be something durable, portable, and something that everyone agreed had value. This need for a simpler system is what led to one of the most important inventions in human history: the coin. The first coins, as we know them, popped up around the 7th century BC in a kingdom called Lydia, in what is now modern-day Turkey. These weren't like the coins in your pocket today. They were made from a natural mix of gold and silver called electrum. They were basically just lumpy pieces of metal, stamped with a simple design, often a lion's head, to prove they were official and had a certain weight and value. This was a game changer. Suddenly, you didn't have to drag your chickens to the market. You could use these handy, standardized little metal pieces to buy whatever you needed. The idea of coinage caught on like wildfire. It was brilliant. Governments realized they could control the economy by controlling the minting of coins. They could guarantee the weight and purity of the metal, which built trust in the system. From Lydia, the concept spread quickly to the Greek city-states. Each city began minting its own unique coins, often with images of their patron gods, goddesses, or important symbols. This wasn't just about money anymore, it was about identity. It was a way for a city to announce its power, its culture, and its independence to the world. The coin became a tiny billboard for civic pride. So, the next time you flip a quarter, remember where it all started. It began with people trying to solve a simple problem: how to trade more easily. That simple idea evolved into a complex system that powered empires, funded wars, and built the world we live in today. Those first Lydian coins were the ancestors of every penny, dime, and dollar ever made. They weren't just lumps of metal, they were the spark that ignited a global economic revolution. Without them, the world would be a very different and much more complicated place. You'd probably still be trading chickens for shoes. When you talk about ancient coins, you have to talk about Rome. The Roman Empire was a powerhouse, and their coins were a huge part of their success. They minted millions upon millions of coins: gold auri, silver denarii, and bronze sestertii. These weren't just for buying things, They were instruments of propaganda. Every time a new emperor took the throne, he would mint new coins with his face on them. It was the fastest way to let everyone in the vast empire, from Britain to Egypt, know who was in charge. The coins were like the internet of the ancient world, spreading news and images across thousands of miles. Some of the rarest and most sought-after Roman coins are the ones that tell a dramatic story. Take the Aid Mar denarius. This silver coin was minted by Brutus in 42 BC to commemorate the assassination of Julius Caesar. On one side it shows 2 daggers and a liberty cap, with the inscription Eid Mar, which means the Ides of March, the day Caesar was killed. This wasn't just a coin, it was a political statement, a piece of propaganda celebrating what Brutus saw as the liberation of Rome. Only about 100 of these are known to exist, and they are incredibly valuable because they represent a pivotal, bloody moment in history. The Greeks also made some of the most beautiful coins ever created. The city-states competed to produce the most artistic and intricate designs. The Decadrachm of Syracuse, for example, is considered a masterpiece of ancient art. Minted in Sicily around 400 BC, these large silver coins were created by master engravers to celebrate a military victory over Athens. They show a charioteer being crowned by the goddess Nike on one side, and the head of the nymph Arethusa surrounded by dolphins on the other. Finding one of these in good condition is the dream of many collectors because they are not just coins, they are miniature sculptures. But rarity in the ancient world can be tricky. Sometimes a coin is rare, not because few were made, but because of who is on it. For example, coins of short-lived emperors or usurpers who only ruled for a few months are extremely scarce. When these guys were overthrown, the new ruler would often recall and melt down all their coins to erase them from history. So, finding a coin of an obscure emperor like Otho or Pescennius Niger is like finding a lost page from a history book. It's a physical reminder of a forgotten ruler, a story of ambition and failure captured forever in a small piece of metal. After the fall of Rome, Europe splintered into countless smaller kingdoms, and so did its coinage. The Middle Ages was a chaotic time, and the coins from this era reflect that. The quality of the metal often went down, and the designs became cruder. But this period still produced some amazing and incredibly rare coins. Finding a gold coin from an early Anglo-Saxon king, for example, is almost impossible. They were often made in tiny quantities and used by kings to give as gifts to loyal followers or the church, not for everyday trade. Owning one is like owning a piece of the legend of Beowulf. As we move into the Renaissance and the Age of Exploration, coins started to get bigger and more impressive. Kings and queens wanted to show off their newfound wealth from trade and conquest. This is when you start seeing massive gold and silver coins, like the Spanish piece of 8. These big silver coins were minted from the vast amounts of silver mined in the New World, in places like Mexico and Peru. They became the world's first global currency, used everywhere from Europe to Asia. And of course, they are the classic pirate treasure coin you see in movies. A chest full of these was a true king's ransom. One of the rarest English coins is the 1933 penny. This story is wild. The Royal Mint produced a handful of them, maybe 7 in total, just for historical records because they had enough pennies in circulation already. They were never meant to be used. But somehow, at least one got out into the world. It became a legend, a phantom coin that collectors whispered about for decades. The law says they are still the property of the mint, so you can't legally own one. This makes it one of the greatest uncollectible collectibles in the world, a true ghost in the machine of numismatics. Another legendary coin is the Brasher doubloon, one of the very first gold coins made for the United States, even before the U.S. Mint was established. In the 1780s, a goldsmith named Ephraim Brasher, who lived next door to George Washington in New York, decided to make his own coins. He created a few beautiful gold coins and stamped them with his own initials, EB. These were private issues, but they are considered the first truly American gold coins. Only a handful are known to exist, and when one comes up for auction, it sells for millions of dollars. It's a symbol of America's birth, crafted by a patriot right at the dawn of the nation. When it comes to rare American coins, there's one that stands above all others, the 1933 Double Eagle. This $20 gold piece is the stuff of legend. Back in 1933, President Franklin D. Roosevelt took the United States off the gold standard to fight the Great Depression. He ordered that all gold coins be returned to the Treasury and melted down. the mint had already produced nearly 500,000 1933 double eagles, but they were never officially issued. They were all supposed to be turned into gold bars. It was a dramatic end for America's most beautiful coin, designed by the great sculptor Augustus St. Gaudens. But here's where the story gets interesting. Somehow, a small number of these coins, maybe around 20, escaped the melting pots. A mint cashier is suspected of smuggling them out. For decades, these coins were illegal to own, and the Secret Service hunted them down. They managed to recover most of them, but one slipped through their fingers. It ended up in the collection of King Farouk of Egypt. After he was overthrown, the coin disappeared for decades, becoming the most wanted coin in the world. It was a numismatic fugitive, a ghost that haunted the collecting world. It was a story straight out of a Hollywood movie. Then you have the 1804 silver dollar. It's known as the king of American coins. The weird thing about it is that none were actually minted in 1804. The United States Mint created them in the 1830s to be included in special sets of coins given as diplomatic gifts to foreign rulers, like the Sultan of Muscat. They just used the 1804 date because it was the last year they had officially minted that type of dollar. Only 15 of these coins are known to exist today. Each one has its own name and a long documented history or provenance. Owning one is like owning a piece of American diplomatic history. Another incredible rarity is the 1913 Liberty Head nickel. Only 5 of these coins were ever made, and nobody knows for sure why. They were struck secretly at the United States Mint by an employee named Samuel Brown. He held on to them for years before revealing their existence at a coin convention in 1920. It was a huge scandal. For decades, the 5 nickels traveled together, exhibited across the country as a unique set. Eventually, they were split up. One of them was lost for over 40 years after a car crash and was thought to be a fake until experts authenticated it in 2003. It's a testament to how even the smallest coin can have the biggest story. Every great treasure hunt needs a good legend, and in the world of coin collecting, one of the best is the story of the lost Confederate cent. Back in 1861, the Civil War was just beginning. The newly formed Confederate States of America wanted to create their own money to show they were a real, independent nation. They planned to make a whole series of coins, from cents to gold pieces. A Philadelphia engraver named Robert Lovett Jr. was hired to design the first coin, a 1-cent piece. The design featured the head of Minerva, the goddess of wisdom, on one side, and a wreath of cotton, tobacco, and sugarcane on the other. Lovett struck a few prototypes. We think about a dozen of them. But then he got nervous. He was living in Philadelphia, the heart of the Union, and he was secretly making money for the enemy. He feared being arrested for treason. So he stopped the project, hid the coins and the dies he used to make them, and told no one. The Confederate government, busy with the war, never followed up. The whole project was forgotten. The Confederate cent became a ghost, a coin that was planned, but, as far as anyone knew, never existed. It was a secret, buried by the chaos of war. The story picks up years later, in 1873. Lovett supposedly spent one of his original cents at a bar to pay for a drink. The sharp-eyed bartender noticed it was an unusual coin and bought it from Lovett. The secret was out. A famous coin collector named John W. Hazeltine heard the story, tracked Lovett down, and bought the remaining original cents and the dies. To make some money, Hazeltine used the original dies to strike more cents in different metals, like gold, silver, and copper. These are called restrikes, and while valuable, they aren't as prized as Lovett's original dozen. The ultimate mystery, however, is what happened to the rest of Lovett's original coins. He only sold a handful to Hazeltine. Did he spend the others? Did he lose them? Are there still a few of these original 1861 Confederate cents out there, sitting in an old coin jar or buried in a backyard, waiting to be discovered? That's the legend that keeps collectors searching. Finding an original Confederate cent would be like finding a message in a bottle from the lost cause. It's a piece of history from a nation that almost was, a tangible link to one of the most turbulent times in the American story. Coin collecting isn't a new thing. In fact, it's been called the hobby of kings for centuries. The tradition goes all the way back to ancient times. Roman emperors like Augustus were said to be early collectors. They would gather old and foreign coins and give them as gifts during festivals. They weren't just collecting money, they were collecting pieces of art and history, symbols of power from other lands and other times. During the Renaissance, The hobby became very popular among the European nobility and scholars. The Italian poet Petrarch is often called the first true numismatist. He was fascinated by ancient coins and would travel around looking for them. For these early collectors, coins were a window into the classical world they so admired. They studied the portraits of emperors and the depictions of gods and goddesses to learn about history, mythology, and art. They built incredible collections, housed in beautiful custom-made cabinets. These cabinets of curiosities were a status symbol, a way for a prince or a pope to show off their sophistication, wealth, and knowledge. It was a scholarly pursuit, a hobby for the educated elite who had the time and money to dedicate to finding and studying these miniature treasures from the past. It wasn't something the average person could do. The nature of coin collecting started to change in the 19th and 20th centuries. With the rise of the middle class, more people had disposable income and leisure time. The hobby became more democratic. Companies started producing special albums and folders with slots for every date and mint mark of a particular coin series, like the Lincoln penny or the Washington quarter. This turned collecting into a fun and affordable challenge for everyone, including kids. It was no longer just about owning ancient gold coins. It was about the thrill of filling the book and completing a set. This new wave of popularity led to a greater appreciation for all types of coins, not just the super rare and expensive ones. People started paying attention to things like condition, mint marks, and even small errors. A 1909 VDB Lincoln cent, a coin with the designer's initials and a specific mint mark, became a classic rarity that every collector wanted to find. The hobby evolved from a king's pastime into a national obsession. It became a way for everyday people to connect with their country's history, one coin at a time, creating a massive and passionate community of collectors. There's nothing quite like the atmosphere of a major coin auction. The room is filled with tension and excitement. You have serious collectors, museum curators, and wealthy investors, all competing for a single tiny piece of metal. This is where the world's rarest coins make headlines. When a coin like the 1933 double eagle or the 1804 silver dollar comes up for sale, the stakes are incredibly high. The auctioneer's call, the frantic bidding, the final slam of the gavel, it's pure drama. These auctions are where history is made, and where new world records are set. It's the Super Bowl of the coin collecting world. One of the most famous auctions in recent history was the sale of the single legal to own 1933 double eagle in 2002. After being recovered by the Secret Service in the 1990s, a long legal battle ended with a unique deal. The coin would be sold at auction, and the money would be split between the U.S. Treasury and the private owner. The coin world held its breath. When the hammer finally fell, the coin sold for a staggering $7.59 million. It was a record-breaking price that shocked everyone and brought massive media attention to the hobby. In 2021, that same coin sold again, this time for an incredible $18.9 million, proving that the market for ultra-rare coins is stronger than ever. These auctions are also where legendary collections come to light. When a famous collector decides to sell, it's a major event. The D. Brent Pogue collection sale, which took place over several years, is a perfect example. The Pogue family had spent decades assembling one of the finest collections of early American coins ever known. Their sale included multiple 1804 silver dollars and the only 1822 half eagle in private hands. The total sales from their collection exceeded $100 million. It was a once-in-a-generation event that allowed other collectors a chance to own coins that had been off the market for decades. But what drives these astronomical prices? It's a perfect storm of factors. There's the extreme rarity, only one is known to exist, or just a handful. There's the historical significance, the coin tells a powerful story. There's the condition, or grade. A perfectly preserved coin is worth many times more than a worn one. And then there's the simple human desire to own the best, the rarest, the most famous. For the world's top collectors, it's not just about investing, it's about owning a masterpiece. A unique piece of human history that no one else has. The auction block is their arena. So why, in our digital world of credit cards and cryptocurrency, are we still so obsessed with old pieces of metal? I think it's because rare coins are real. They are tangible history. You can't hold a Bitcoin in your hand, but you can hold a silver dollar that was possibly touched by Wyatt Earp. In an age where everything seems to be virtual, there's a deep human need for things that are authentic and have a story. A rare coin is a direct connection to the past. A story that has survived for generations. That's a powerful thing, and it's something that new technology can't replace. The thrill of the hunt is also a huge part of the appeal. It's the modern-day equivalent of a treasure hunt. Collectors spend hours searching through rolls of coins from the bank, scanning flea markets, and browsing online auctions, all in the hope of making a great find. It could be a rare error, like a double die penny, or an old silver coin that someone spent by mistake. Most of the time you find nothing, but the possibility of discovery is what keeps you looking. It's a hobby that rewards knowledge, patience, and a sharp eye. Every coin you look at could be the one. The community of collectors is another big reason the hobby thrives. It brings together people from all walks of life who share a common passion. There are local coin clubs, huge national conventions, and online forums where people can share their latest finds, ask for advice, and trade stories. It's a way to connect with others who understand the excitement of finding that one missing piece for your collection. This sense of community turns a solitary hobby into a shared adventure, where knowledge is passed down and friendships are forged over a shared love of history. Ultimately, collecting rare coins is about more than just money. It's about preserving the past and holding a piece of our collective story. Each coin is a miniature time capsule, a witness to history. Whether it's a Roman denarius, a Spanish piece of 8, or a 1913 Liberty Head nickel, each one tells a tale of human ambition, art, conflict, and commerce. And as long as there are stories to be told and treasures to be found, people will continue to hunt for them. The search for these rare and beautiful objects is a timeless human pursuit, and believe me, it's a hunt that is far from over. There's always another amazing piece of history waiting to walk through the door.